For 20 years, he was the embodiment of sea power, the largest, fastest, and most majestic warship on the face of the globe. To a nation, he was more than steel and gunpowder. He was the mighty Hood, a symbol of an empire, a floating fortress, and the pride of the Royal Navy. But his legend was forged not in triumph, but in a single shattering explosion that sent him to the bottom of the sea, taking with him the lives of almost all his crew and a mystery that endures to this day. Like the Hood, our channel is just beginning its journey. Become part of our squadron. Subscribe and like this video to explore the pages of military history together. His birth was stained by the fire of the First World War. Laid down in 1916, his design was a direct response to the bloody lesson of the Battle of Jutland, where 3 British battlecruisers, with their weak armor, blew apart and vanished in hellish infernos. Hood was reshaped, becoming the pinnacle of the battlecruiser concept, the speed of a greyhound, the armament of a battleship. Launched in 1918 by the widow of Admiral Sir Horace Hood, who died at Jutland, he was commissioned in 1920. A leviathan of 860 feet, a true king of the oceans. His specifications inspired awe and fear. 8 15-inch guns, housed in 4 mighty turrets, could unleash a broadside of over 7 tons of high-explosive steel over the horizon. His 24 boilers and 144,000 horsepower gave him a thrilling top speed of 31 knots. He could outrun anything he couldn't outgun. But this greatness came at a cost. To achieve such speed and firepower on a limited displacement, compromises were made. His vertical belt armor was respectable, but his horizontal or deck armor was tragically thin. It was a design flaw from another era, a ghost of Jutland that would never be exorcised. A planned major modernization in 1939 was cancelled by the war, sealing his fate. Throughout the 1920s and 30s, Hood was the star of the Royal Navy. His Empire cruise and other global tours were a spectacle of British prestige. Wherever he went, crowds gathered to admire this unparalleled symbol of naval elegance and power. But with the outbreak of World War II, the pageantry ended. The mighty Hood became a workhorse, patrolling the inhospitable North Atlantic, hunting for German U-boats. His first true taste of the war's bitterness was yet to come. In July 1940, after the fall of France, Winston Churchill faced an unthinkable scenario. The powerful French fleet could be seized by the Nazis. The order was given: Operation Catapult. Neutralize the French Navy by any means necessary. Hood, the proud symbol of the fleet, became the tip of the spear. As the flagship of Force H under Vice Admiral Sir James Somerville, he led the British squadron to Mers-el-Kébir, Algeria. The French were given a heartbreaking ultimatum: join us, disarm, or be destroyed by your former allies. Negotiations turn into a tragic countdown. The French, bound by honor to their new government, refuse. For the British, it is a strategic necessity. For the men on the Hood, it is an unimaginable horror, aiming their guns at yesterday's allies. Negotiations failed. With immense personal anguish, Somerville gave the order. Hood's 15-inch guns roared, raining fire upon the very fleet that had stood beside them just weeks before. The battleship Bretagne exploded, killing hundreds. It was a necessary act of cold, hard realpolitik, but it stained Hood's deck and the conscience of the Royal Navy. In May 1941, the threat materialized. The brand-new German battleship Bismarck, a monster of 50,000 tons, the most modern and powerful warship in the world, broke out into the Atlantic convoy routes. The entire home fleet was put on alert. The only ship capable of catching the Bismarck was the aging but swift Hood. May 24, 1941, 05:52, the Denmark Strait. The Hood and the new battleship Prince of Wales intercept the Bismarck and the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, 537. The Prince Eugen is in the lead, followed by the battleship Bismarck. The Hood and the Prince of Wales are approaching them at almost a right angle. The range is 26,500 yards. Unable to bring its rear turrets to bear, the Hood fires the first salvo. The Germans hold their fire. By mistake, the British fleet concentrates its guns on the Prince Eugen, mistaking it for the Bismarck. 5:53. The Germans have found the range. The Prince Eugen opens fire, followed by the Bismarck. A shell from the Prince Eugen hits the storage lockers for anti-aircraft ammunition. The resulting detonation starts a fire on the Hood's deck. The flames illuminate the battleship's silhouette, turning it into a perfect target. Admiral Holland orders a turn to port to unleash a full broadside. It is an extremely risky maneuver. By turning, the Hood has exposed its broadside to the enemy. The distance has closed to 16,000 yards. The Bismarck fires a salvo. A massive pillar of flame erupted from the Hood, followed instantly by a cataclysmic explosion that tore the ship in two. The stern sank almost immediately, while the bow section rose vertically before sliding beneath the waves. In just 3 minutes, the mighty Hood was gone. Of the crew of 1,418 men aboard HMS Hood, only 3 survived. The official British inquiry pointed to a 15-inch shell from the Bismarck. It concluded that the shell pierced the thin deck armor, that well-known weakness, and penetrated deep into the ship, detonating the aft 4-inch ammunition magazine. This explosion then triggered a secondary, much larger blast in the main 15-inch magazines. The result was a cataclysmic explosion that tore the Hood in two. However, later meticulous analysis by historians and naval engineers revealed a critical flaw in this theory. The angle at which Bismarck's shells were falling was likely too shallow. A shell would have had to plunge down almost vertically to achieve such penetration, but its actual trajectory was far flatter. The probability of a deck penetration under these conditions was deemed extremely low. This gave rise to other compelling theories. One suggests the fatal blow came from below the waterline. A shell from the Bismarck that hit the sea, traveled underwater, and slammed into the Hood's vulnerable belly, beneath its main armored belt. Equally probable is the fire theory. The blaze on the deck, started by a hit from the Prince Eugen, caused the anti-aircraft rockets to cook off and explode. It's possible that the fire or one of these explosions found a path below, like a ventilation shaft or an open hatch, and flashed directly into a secondary magazine. The subsequent detonation of the stored ammunition there would then have been the trigger for the final catastrophic blast. For 60 years, Hood's grave was a secret of the deep. Then, in July 2001, a team led by renowned shipwreck hunter David Mearns, using state-of-the-art sonar, found him. The wreckage was scattered across the seabed at a depth of 2,800 meters. The two main sections, the bow and stern, lay a mile apart, a silent testament to the violence of his destruction. The most poignant chapter of his story was written in 2012. The HMS Hood Association, with support from the Royal Navy and philanthropist Paul Allen, launched an expedition to recover the ship's bell, to serve as a permanent memorial and a tangible link to the lost crew. In 2015, after a delicate and solemn operation, the bell was brought to the surface. It was meticulously conserved for 2 years, its inscriptions clear once more. Today, it rests in a place of honor at the National Museum of the Royal Navy in Portsmouth, a silent bronze voice for the 1,415 men who never came home. The story of HMS Hood is an eternal echo. It is the echo of his guns At Mers-el-Kébir, the echo of his turbines at full speed, and the echo of that final, terrible silence after the explosion faded. He was a king who ruled the waves for a generation, but his throne was in a world that had already passed him by. His loss was a national trauma, but from it came a relentless determination that ultimately sank the Bismarck. But the hunt for the Bismarck is a story for one of our next episodes. To make sure you don't miss it, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like this video.